just going to cut off a little, kind of like a roll there. Kind of like that. I feel like I'm in church. I'm just going to roll that out to the thickness that you want your gnocchi to be. Kind of like that. And then you're just going to cut them at whatever size you want. Paying strict attention to the knife. And you want to put them kind of on a floured surface later. Pretty easy, man. I can't believe I made $50 million with this. No, I mix this in a machine. You'd have to be somewhat masochistic to do that by hand. We were just talking about, well, you don't want that, do you? Just talking the other day about pyramids and how they built them, you know, and there's no power tools back then. Incredible. I had a French chef that I worked for whose name I won't tell you. I had a nickname for him, I won't tell you that either. But he actually, when I was a kid, he would make me whip 3 quarts of cream by hand right in front of the electric mixer.
I have a question.
Yes.
The ricotta, do you use cheesecloth to get rid of the extra fluid, or do you just take it from?
I'm sorry, I missed that. The what?
So a lot of recipes that I've read online and elsewhere, they use cheesecloth to get rid of the extra milk. Do you do that in your recipe?
I don't generally. I just use a strainer. Your cheesecloth is fine. You know?
Okay. So you just strain out the water.
Yeah, you want to strain out the excess water. So while I'm doing this extremely interesting work here, I'll tell you a story about how this book started. And, you know, with everything that happens in the world, there's always a patient zero. You know, the first person that, you know, does whatever they do. And we had that. I had a woman, well, it was actually 3 women. I was at Cool Fish. Let me start by saying, the most dangerous place in a restaurant is the ladies' room. 5 minutes after you open the place, I don't care how spotless it is, 5 minutes after you open the place, the ladies' room looks like a disaster. I don't know what they do in there, but it's a mess all around. So I decided when I built Cool Fish, I was going to put a floor drain right in the middle. I was going to angle the floors down a little, so I went in with a fire hose and just clean all that and everything would go down, right? So it, you know, clogged up. So one of my managers comes and says, the ladies' room drain is clogged, you have to call a plumber. I said, all right, so I call a plumber, and about 5 minutes later, literally 5 minutes later, this guy shows up in a Ferrari, a Swift Ferrari. He's got these pointy Italian shoes and a 3-piece suit. I said, can I help you? I put him on the table. He goes, I'm the plumber. I'm like, all right, pull your pants down in the back a little so I know what you're doing. So I said, what's with the outfit? He goes, well, all my guys are busy. It was an emergency. I figured I'd come down and help you out. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So he goes into the bathroom, and he does whatever plumbers do with stuff drains. And he comes out, pronounces it clean. Thank you. He goes. I go back into the kitchen. I come out to talk to the bartender about something. And I noticed there was these 3 elderly women, like in their 80s or so, coming in for lunch. You know, I don't think anything about it. I go back in the kitchen. I get called out again, and I'm by the end of the bar, and the bathroom door's right here, and I hear these muffled cries for help. This, help! What's going on? I'm like, is the ladies' room? Well, it was, yeah. We get a manager. So I get Diane, my manager. I said, there's a problem in the ladies' room. Somebody in there screaming, right? So she opens the door, and I was, help, help! And I look in there, and there's this old faithful geyser coming out of the drain with all kinds of plumbing stuff. And it's all over the floor, right? And she's sitting in the booth on the bowl with her feet straight out in the air, screaming, help, help, I have open-toe shoes. I said, you gotta come out, I have open-toe shoes, and I want a free lunch. So I said, ma'am, you're in the worst negotiating position I've ever seen. Sitting there on a toilet bowl with your feet up in the air screaming for food. Why don't you come out? She won't come out. So I go in the back. I said, I get this porter, he's a 20-year-old Spanish kid. I said, oh, Jorge, you ever seen a naked woman? What are you going to see? You ever seen one over 80? It's different. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go in there with your eyes closed, mop as fast as you can, then get out of there. So he did. We finally coaxed the woman out, right? She goes to have lunch. I go back in the kitchen. Now the manager comes back and says, the lady who was on the bowl wants to talk to you. I'm like, is she dressed? Because I'm not going out there. She said, stop being an asshole, just go out there. Okay, so I go out there. I said, can I help you? She goes, do I get a free meal? I said, man, for that kind of material, I'm giving you a free wedding. She goes, well, I'm not planning on getting married. Okay, then have lunch. So she was the first woman I wrote about, and the story got into a magazine. And the owner of the magazine said, could you update these stories every year? I said, I can update them every weekend. So that's how the whole thing started. So I started writing these things down, and it turned out at one point I had 100 of them, you know, and I'm like, wow, you know, a lot of material out there. And so that was published, that was Playing with Fire, and that was published in 2009. And seeing that there's no shortage of talent, I have the second helping here, which is another 100 fine individuals who terrorize restaurants as a hobby. Yes and yes. Yeah, I'll give you a couple of stupid chef tricks today before you go. You know, like my board isn't moving, you know, my board isn't moving. There's a wet towel under it. So if you put a wet towel under your board, it won't slide. The first time you wipe your hand, you realize that's probably a good idea. So here's another one. This is out of another book. I trust most everybody's been to Montauk. I had a restaurant in Montauk for a long time, and Montauk's an outdoor society. You know, everybody's playing golf and going to the beach or boating, fishing, whatever. So nobody goes out really for dinner until 7:30. So you could have 350 reservations and have a completely empty dining room at 7 o'clock. Which is what happened one night out there. And this couple came in, and the guy said, you have a table for two, and the hostess says, do you have a reservation? And the guy's looking around, it's a completely empty dining room. Is it a problem? She goes, well, you know, let me check. So she's looking, the guy's looking at her like she's nuts, right? So she says, look, if you can get out of here in an hour and a half, I can seat you. He says, yeah, fine, no problem. Takes him to the table. I don't want to sit here. Second table, I don't want to sit here. Third table, same thing. She goes, sir, where would you like to sit? So he points to a table of 4, and that's 2 people. She goes, sir, I can't give you a table of 4, you're 2 people. He goes, well, it's ridiculous. Nobody's here. Listen. She goes, I know what it looks like now. We're going to be fully involved in another half hour, 45 minutes. So they go back to the hostess there, and they're still arguing back and forth. And I happen to come out to check the reservations, so I see the thing going on. I said, what's the problem? And he says, well, she wants to sit me at a table of 2. I want to sit at a table of 4. I'm a big guy. I'm not going to be comfortable over there. I said, sir, what we have here is essentially a real estate transaction that happens to come with a meal. I'm selling square footage. It's Montauk in August, all right? If you want to sit at a bigger table, come back in November, you can sit at a table of 11. I don't care. I need every square inch I can get. Yeah, I swear, tell me the truth. The guy looks at me, goes, with the finger in it, you know. Let me tell you something, pal. I know Tom Schaudel, and when I tell him what's going on, he said, what? So I'm looking at this maniac. I'm like, you know Tom? Years I go back with him. I'm telling you, your ass is out of here when I come. So I said, all right, sit where you want. So the hostess, who grabbed her nose and ran inside and left me with this lunatic, right? She comes out, she goes, why didn't you tell him? I said he knew he was going to call me and have me fire me. It's a lot to process. Get it in time. So he sat there for like 2.5 hours, screwed up my entire night. Yeah. I want to see the look on his face when he saw me in like great restaurants of Long Island or something. Oops. Now, you guys don't mind if you eat stages, right? I've got a couple first. See, the other thing too, you know, it's not always the customers. The employees are getting as wacky as the customers are. I had a girl who came to Jewel. Jewel was a very big restaurant, about 15,000 square feet. And, you know, on a typical Saturday night, we would do 450, 500 dinners. It was mayhem. So she comes, and you would think that the hostess position would be fairly easy to fill, right? You got to answer the phone, you got to take a name, a time, and a party, and hang up. That's it, pretty much. That's it. You would be wrong. They're hard to find, and I don't know why, but I had this girl, she had 2 master's degrees in the subjects, or 2 subjects. She couldn't get a job, and she winds up at my front desk. And she was there for about 3 days, and everything was going really well. I'm thinking, I found somebody, man. I gotta get college-educated kids in here. And then it all went sideways. So I come up from downstairs, and the phone's ringing, and you know, there's 75 employees. I'm the only one that answers the phone. Nobody cares. The phone's ringing. And I answer the phone, I take the reservation, and I'll call her Amanda. She comes sauntering out of the ladies' room, and I hang up, and I'm like, Amanda, if you want to save me countless dollars in therapy bills, take the phone with you when you leave the desk. I don't care. Go to the bathroom, fine. Have it go to the mall. I don't care. Just take the phone with you, right? Okay. 3 days later, I'm down in the office, and Amanda comes walking in. I'm talking to the manager about something. Amanda comes walking in with the phone in her hand. Not the cordless, the real one, with the jack out, and all the buttons and the switches, and she got it in 2 hands. And she comes walking in the office with the phone. So I'm thinking, it's broken, right? I said, what's with the phone? What do you mean? The phone. What's with the phone? I get this. You told me to take it with me when I left the desk. I said, can I ask you a question? Has it been ringing? She goes, no, it's been kind of quiet. I look at my manager and I'm like, what did a father donate a wing? Needless to say, I think she ran for Senate. And won. Yeah, so Joan Reminick from Newsday one time called me and she goes to me, you're making this stuff up, right? I'm like, yeah. I'd be Stephen King if I could make this stuff up. Stranger than fiction. So my ex-wife, who's a good buddy of mine, it's almost inconceivable, but she is, was working for me in a place I had in the South Shore called Starfish. And she was at the hostess desk one day, and this party of 4 women came in. It was mom, 2 daughters, and grandma. And grandma was in a hurry to eat, apparently. So we didn't take reservations back then because it was a smaller place. And so she said, how long is it going to be for a table? So my ex-wife, in that voice that you reserve for very old people and children, well, it's going to be probably going to be about an hour, you know? It's fine, we'll wait. Okay, so 5 minutes later, she comes to the desk. It's been an hour. Where's my table? So she explains to her again, listen, it's probably going to be about another 40 minutes. You know, you're just going to have to be patient. You know, or I can, you know, give you a reservation for another day, whatever. Fine, we'll leave it. No, and the mother steps in. She goes, no, Mom, we're going to stay. We're going to wait another 45 minutes. 5 minutes later, is our table ready yet? She says, it'll be ready in 45 minutes. She goes, we'll leave it. And Grandma turns around to my wife, 2 inches from her nose, and goes like this. Like, yeah, you know? I thought it was kind of funny, really. You know? So, and it wasn't really the sentiment, it was the finger itself. It was kind of crooked, and it had a mole with a hair on it. It was just, I dreamt about that finger for weeks. Yeah, so she flipped my wife the bird, my ex-wife the bird, and went on a merry way. Anybody want to buy a restaurant? Sure. All right, let's start. I'll get yapping here. I'll be here at 8 o'clock.
Can you get
It's not easy, you know. I don't know where they all went after the pandemic. You know, people say unemployment, this, that, and the other thing, but you know, what are they doing for money? I mean, we had a lot of people before that, and after the pandemic, it just went off the rails. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, and you know, when you put an ad in, like Indeed or I hire or whatever, you get this odd mix. Like I'll put an ad in for a cook, and I'll get people with experience in, like, the post office, you know, or a grocery store or something. And nothing to do with what you're asking for. But I think they need to do that to fulfill their unemployment. You know, there's a lot of that. I'll give you an example. I had a waiter the other day. I have a contract in a country club up the island. And country club waiters are an odd breed because they don't make tips. And so you don't get the best guys because they're not making that kind of money. And we have this one guy, George, who's been at the club for 35 years, asked me the other day, what makes the tomato soup red? I swear. Can I get the blackened fish taco blackened? Yeah, good shot at it. So can I get help? Yeah, help. Can I get help? But most of it isn't. So we're just going to saute this sausage.
What's in it?
This sausage is, there's a little bit of garlic, fennel. Fennel is the predominant flavor. And there's 3 types of pepper. You have crushed red pepper, you have cayenne pepper, you have black pepper, and then you have some sandalwood and a little bit of water.
What's the meat?
Huh?
What's the meat?
A meat's veal.
Ah.
If anybody has any questions about, you know, the restaurant business or food or wine or Harley Davidsons, I'll be happy to help you.
How about plumbing?
Huh?
How about plumbing?
Plumbing? All I know is it just doesn't run upstream, that's what I know. All that stuff has to go that way.
Did you ever run into this Ferrari guy again?
No, I didn't.
You didn't call him back?
I did not call him back, no.
Did you pay him?
If you can't, but yeah, well, we kind of have to pay him, he's Italian and he had a weapon. Yeah, it's funny, you know, in Culinary Institute, you know, they teach you, it's like any other college. I mean, you know, you go to college and you basically get a degree in like partying and avoiding class and all that. Cooking school's the same. But they should give you, you know, instead of like, you know, classes like accounting, which is kind of important, I guess, they should give you air conditioning and refrigeration and plumbing. You know, you're going to save more money than that when you want to accounting. If I had half the money back that I spend on plumbing and air conditioning, I'd be helicopter rich right now. You just want to break that up as best you can.
You cooking in olive oil or vegetable oil?
Yeah, I don't use extra virgin in this or anything. I think it's a waste of money. You know, so I just use soy blend. You know. I mean, you can. It's going to give you a little more flavor, but you're not going to really taste it all that much with the fennel and the garlic and all that. You're better off saving the money, which is that's an important part of the restaurant business. Most people don't understand the economics. Everybody goes into the restaurant business thinking they're going to make a fortune. And there's just not a lot of market there. So you want to keep as much money as you can. I remember my father telling me, we were talking about that, somehow that money can't buy everything came up. And my father had a pearl of wisdom. He says, money, the only thing money can't buy is poverty. You know? He had a point. You want to drain off some of that oil. This eating and drinking thing. of fun, and I still like it. I mean, look at me, I'm 39 and I'm still doing this. And, you know, I actually look forward to going to work most of the time. There are days where I've thought about, you know, killing people. There's days I've thought about killing myself. You know, but it's like any other job. I mean, it has its ups and downs when you're doing it. But overall, I was talking about this with a friend of mine who just retired. And he said, when are you going to retire? And I'm like, I don't think you ever retire from art, you know, stuff. Like painting or music or even this, you know. So I'll do this until I can't. Which, you know, at my age, you never know what day that's going to be. It's kind of fun.
Are you still hands-on in the kitchen?
What?
Are you still hands-on in the kitchen?
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm still better than the kids. You know? Even on the line, you know, I move faster because I have a purpose. They're like this and yeah, I sound like my dad. The kids these days. I guess every generation goes through that. You smell the funnel as you get out there? So here's a good one. I had a woman come into Jewel one time, and you can kind of see them. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's a second sense or whatever. But anybody ever see Star Trek? Remember Star Trek? He had the Vulcan, always had the pain coming down his head. You know, it's kind of like that with crazy people. You can tell right away that they're going to be nuts. So we had this woman come in, and she says to, this is great. She says to the waitress, I got to get this straight because this is kind of complicated. She says, I'm a keto practicing vegan. I'm allergic to gluten, and I'm allergic to dairy. I'll have the lobster roll. What could possibly go wrong? So the waitress comes back to me and she goes, what's keto? I'm like, I don't know. You know? So anyway, she goes, you got this woman, she's allergic to this, that, and the other thing. She just ordered lobster roll. She goes, you can't eat that. She goes, I know, that's what I was trying to say. I said, well, go back and tell her that's, you know, I don't know if she knows or not, she's getting a roll on that lobster roll. The lady says, I know what I can eat. I want the lobster roll. So the lobster roll goes out and hits the table, and she's recoiling in horror, right? There's mayonnaise in that. I told you I was allergic to dairy. So the waitress comes back. She says, what do you want me to do? I said, I'll go after her and say, what's the problem? She goes, I told her I was a keto practicing vegan, and I was allergic to dairy, and I'm gluten intolerant, and you bring me something with mayonnaise in it? I said, you mean the aioli? I don't care what you call it, it's mayonnaise, and there's eggs in that. I said, but they're not cow eggs. She goes, what? They're not cow eggs. What are you talking about? I said, they're chicken eggs. They're sold in the dairy section, but they're not dairy. You know? If it was cow eggs, you'd have a problem. And so would I. The recipe would be awful. So she told me to do something with myself that I didn't want to do with somebody else. And that was the end of that. Now, you really think I can make that up? Drain. Tomato sauce to me is the simplest thing in the kitchen. I just use onions, garlic, tomato, and basil.
Fresh tomato?
Fresh, no, I'm just canned. Canned tomato and basil. I mean, I do make fresh tomato sauces, but not bulk, you know, like that.
The San Marzano?
Yeah, I use San Marzano. And I use a little bit of, just a little bit of sea salt. And I don't cook it that long either. Just, you know, there's that whole myth about, you know, sauces have to go for days. And, you know, maybe if you're doing a meat sauce or something like that, you know, you wanted the extra time to soften the meat, that's fine. But a regular marinara sauce is quick. I mean, mine's done in 45 minutes at most.
Do you put your basil in after everything's done cooking, or do you cook your herbs with the onion
Throw
and
it right in.
garlic?
Yeah, I throw it right in. I generally cook the onion and garlic first, throw the tomatoes in, throw the basil in. Then we have these big blenders, you know, these stick blenders, they're like that big, you know, you just blend the whole thing up. All right. Now gnocchi's kind of funny because it has its own timer in it. As soon as it's ready, it'll come to the top. And then you just let it, try and keep it in the pot though. Just let it cook for another minute. Once it floats and you're good. So here's another thing, people always talk to me about, you know, there's been this whole movement of, you know, local, you know, kind of support your local, grow over here, grow over there. And, you know, I'm a big fan of that, except there are some considerations. If I was completely local on the North Fork, I would have 14 dishes with cauliflower on it. So you have to go, and they consider local like 300 miles or something, you know? But I think that, you know, my responsibility as a chef is to put the best ingredients that I can possibly find on the plate. And if they come from, you know, if they come locally, great. If they don't, oh well, you know, because you're not going to be able to get some of that stuff in the winter. So I say, yeah, support your local guys until you get sick of cauliflower. And then kind of go out on your own a little. So Kip, you'd be interested in this. My girlfriend's brother considers himself a wine geek, and he knows absolutely nothing. It's hilarious. I mean, nothing about wine. You know? He knows red, white, and maybe pink. I'm not sure. So I go to his house for a Christmas party, and he says to me, "Oh, I got a wine for you, man. This is the best wine in California. You're gonna freak when you taste this stuff." And I'm thinking, please don't say it's Caymus, please don't say it's Caymus, please don't say it's Caymus. Right? I said, what is it? He goes, Caymus, shit. So I brought a Magnum of 2013 Palmer Cabernet. So he goes to me, you bring a Long Island wine to this Christmas party. I can't believe you got all that wine in your cellar. You know, he's having a bunch of wines. So I said, why don't we try it? So we opened up both. It wasn't even close. Even he had to admit, you know what, this is pretty good. So my point with all that is, Long Island's making world-class wines at an Olympic pace, by the way. I know I tasted all of it twice. Maybe one more, maybe. This is kind of going to be like the wedding. You go to like table number 4.
Are the customers worse since COVID, or better because they're so glad to go out to restaurants again?
No, there was a time there where everybody was like after 9/11, everybody was nice to each other, and then it all went back the other way. It's kind of the same thing. You know what it is? I've learned that complainers complain, and people don't, you know? So if it's in your DNA or whatever the hell it is to complain, you're going to complain no matter what it is. I mean, it's, I can't imagine some of the complaints, and they're just bizarre. I'm trying to think of, oh, I had one, here we go. I was at a Mono, this is, I guess about a year ago, and there's a guy eating out there, and he says to the waitress, take this olive oil back, and we serve olive oil with the bread. The olive oil was rancid. Here we go, you know. So she says, what do you want me to do? I said, well, give me the olive oil, put it there, wait 3 minutes and take it back out. So she goes, he's gonna know, I promise you, he's not gonna know.
Exactly.
This isn't my first rodeo. So she goes out with the thing reluctantly, and he goes, that's better. He's serving olive oil like this all the time. And he said to me on the way out, he says, you know, that olive oil, I said, yeah, no, thank you for pointing that out to me. What I do without you. Don't try to sit long. If you get a little bit, a little bit feisty.
Do you see a difference between the two forks and customers?
All right. This doesn't leave this room. If you quote me, I'm going to say you lied.
All right, tell them who.
The South Fork is a little more entitled. I'll tell you a story about that. I had a home in East Hampton for a long time, and I love the place. I love East Hampton. But I had to get out. And the straw that broke the camel's back was, and I moved here, by the way, which reminds me of what that was 40 years ago. But the straw that broke the camel's back, I was trying to find a parking spot. You know what Stop and Shop is in the middle of town? They get that municipal lot down, if you know it or not. It's a big municipal lot, right? So it's the middle of August, and I always avoided the center of town like the plague in the summer. But I had to get something, whatever it was. So I go, there's no parking spot. I see this lady leaving with a push cart. It's okay, follow her out. So I'm following her, and she finally gets to the car, she opens the trunk, she puts the bags in, she gets upset, she's on the phone, and I said, did my makeup, the mirror's down, and oh, come on, you know. So I'm sitting on my blinker on, she finally pulls out and takes off. And this Lamborghini comes screaming around the thing and goes right in. Now, the only reason I'm telling you this is because it's germane to the story. I have a 40-year martial arts background, all right? So I know something about that if it happens. And it's the only reason I'm telling you this, because I go over to the guy, and I said, knock on the window, he goes, what? I said, gee, didn't you see me waiting for that spot there? He goes, you wait for the spot? I said, yeah, it was the big black pickup with the blinker. He goes, well, I'm here now. I said, oh, I'll tell you what. I said, I'm prepared to die for the space. I said, I'm absolutely prepared to die for the spot. So if you can play in that arena, you got to get out of the car. If you can't, got to get a space. I don't see any way out for you. And I said, I went home and I was telling my girlfriend, I said, I got to get out of here. This is crazy. They're making me act like John Gotti. This isn't working. So she says, what do you do? I said, get out of space. But, you know, like, and thank God, I'm, you know, 70 years old. I got about a minute and a half of tough guy shit, and then I got to go to the couch. But I mean, I can't do them here now. I grew up in Carl Place. I can do, hey, can I mail a letter? But, you know, I didn't see, I can do all of that. I can't do them here. I can do gnocchi. Yeah, you know what it is? It's, I don't know, people have gotten, you know, this, with the internet and all that, it's this instant gratification all the time. I mean, I was in the city the other night, a friend of mine played at the Beacon, so I went to see him, and, you know, the light is, the yellow on the other side goes, and they're starting the horns before it even gets green, you know, it's crazy. And it's the same thing out here, you know, these people, they give you, like, I have a woman who comes to the club every day, and she has a salad. And this woman can make a Shakespearean tragedy out of the Caesar salad. It's unbelievable, right? Her ticket, literally, one person, one salad, comes into the kitchen, it's this long. It takes you 5 minutes to read it. And then you got to assemble a team of specialists. And then, what's taking so long? What's taking so long? Read your order. And it's usually silly stuff like, you know, she wants her vegetables cut like in triangles instead of squares. So I have a pantry guy who's been working for me for 30 years, Ralph. He's from El Salvador. He's one of my closest friends. He's a great guy. So this woman, she wants a salad chopped, right? So he chops the salad, sends it out. It's not chopped fine enough. Sends it back in, chops it again, sends it back out. Now it's not chopped fine enough again. And I'm saying, who's that? Who needs the, how old is this woman? She says that she's 45, 50, something like that. I said, well, why does she need a salad chopped into plankton? I mean, it's just, you know. So anyway, I leave the area. And I come back and there's a scrum going on. There's two waiters and Ralphie and one of the kitchen guys. What's the problem? So I look in the bowl and there's this like lump of paste. And I'm looking, I'm like, what the hell is it? Ralphie goes, that's the salad. I said, how'd you get it that thin? I put it in the food processor. I couldn't even get mad at him. I was like, kidding me? I thought it was brilliant. When she sent it back, it was too funny. All right, you want to pass out a couple?
Sure.
Of things here?
Let me just do this again.
Calculate that in my head.
All right, just once I get these out, I'll make it for you.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're all enjoying it.
What do we get?
Yeah, we're about halfway. My son tried to make, peanut butter.
No, I didn't.
I don't think he drank it because he had this really big hockey stuff at the bottom of the pot. And he's a big one.
You watch it?
He had flour, he.
Was the water boiling when he put it in?
A woman
I didn't get that.
I think maybe it wasn't boiling. We did stuff like that, but it was, he's like, don't even try it.
It happens. I've done thousands of meals and I do this for a
Yeah.
Might as well give them a napkin.
In advance, yeah.
Give you a napkin.
block.
I figured that's right. That was such a wonderful, it was great, it was really good. And those guys are just fantastic. Oh, yeah. That's good. Yeah, and I think that it's really good. Oh, I'm sorry. I think that they it's expensive to hire. You're welcome. Somebody else. That's right. All right, okay, good. So the thing that you listen because they had died, they had died out. And so what they also do
Not as dark.
so we had brought Loretta's for
We were in custody.
the funny thing is like
Most of the people.
I think you were the last one on this row, right? Everybody got in this row?
I expected not to have ever had it.
Right.
I've never had one.
Because of the earthquake, that's not happening.
It's kind of talking you know, it's easy.
Not everybody
It's
goes.
here to try it. That's right. Equivalent of how. Sorry. Oh, no.
I've always only wine. They, you know, when we can go ahead and into beef and then no matter what occupation you have, you can be wrong.
love that, that's great.
Oh, she's married into
You know, that's a good question, I don't know.
Right by Walter. And also the man in green. We didn't forget about you. Yeah, we have 6 people that didn't get. Thank you. We have a few more to come.
Yes, we dated a different table last night at Trophies. Oh, yeah, oh, good. It's going to be a habit. We're going to start meeting. Hey, Susie, how you doing?
Okay, wait.
Is everyone there?
I want to thank you.
Yeah, coming up.
So, I think that Tom was just finishing. We had a few people that didn't have a taste, but he very generously is donating the proceeds from the book to the museum. But if you didn't, everyone got to taste. I didn't taste it. Was it delicious? I'm sure it was. So, yes. That's exactly what I was going to ask you to join me in thanking Tom for coming and sharing his stories and sharing his food with us. And we appreciate your coming out tonight as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tom. Oh, well, he's not done, so please stay. I didn't know. I was wondering what you said to them, Tom. Okay, well, if you'd like to say also.
Okay.
Yes, okay, great. So anyone who wants to stay around, Tom's still cooking.
Yeah, if you want, I'll sign those books for you before I go. I probably got another about 10 minutes up here, a story or two if you want.
So you know what would be fun to have like garden table, you know? Pick the garden, vegetables, and then back out. You could do the egg. People want to play.
You mean 6 weeks?
Met some people from that part, and they said that they used what you've been doing, bringing interesting speakers
Yes, I got Walter.
And who were the people? Were they in the back, Barbara?
Just you and me.
That must have been good.
I feel really bad.
Do it here. Should have been done already with it.
Yeah. No, this is my first foray into garden club, so I've never been to a garden club.
Who needs it all the work?
You do work. I'm even wearing that shirt.
I'll pay for the book.
Oh, I like that's what I really do. And knowing that, yeah. Is this second? I thought you said. I thought you said someone wanted to do out of friends. I remember maybe no, it was John Walker.
Check, 1, 2, okay. If I could just, have your attention for 2 minutes. I'm going to tell you one more, and this will keep you out of the restaurant business for the rest of your life. I was in the office one day at Lemongrass, and I was on my $3,000 solitaire machine, doing nothing, and the phone rang, so I picked it up, and I said, "Hello, Lemongrass, can I help you?" And the guy says, "I'd like to speak to a manager." I said, "Well, the manager's not here, I'm the owner, how can I help you?" He says, "Well, what's your policy on gift certificates?" I said, "I don't really understand the question." He says, "Your policy, you have a policy on gift certificates? What's your policy?" He's getting annoyed. I said, "My policy on gift certificates is I sell you the certificate and I pray that you lose it." So he goes, "No, really?" I'm like, "No, really." So anyway, I said, "Well, what's the problem?" He goes, "Well, do you have an expiration date?" I said, "Well, when did you get it?" He says, 2 years ago on Christmas, my son bought it. I said, "Well, we're just trying to make friends here, bring it down, I'll honor it." He said, "Well, I can't really bring it down." I'm like, "Why?" He says, "Well, about 6 months ago we had a small house fire, and I think it burned up in the house fire. But I appreciate the fact that you're going to honor it." I said, "Honor what?" He says, "The gift certificate." I said, "You don't have a gift certificate." "Yes, I do. My son bought it, but it burned up in a house fire." I said, "Okay, bring it down." And I mean, it's just like, ridiculous, right? So he goes, "What are you, some kind of moron?" I'm like, "Sir, if you're trolling for free food, calling me names is a really bad idea." I said, "I'll tell you what, I think they have a CSI unit in Mineola. Go down there, take the ashes. Maybe they can come up with the number on the side. If you get that, I'll honor it." He goes, "You're an asshole," and hangs up the phone. I said, "I may be an asshole, but you still don't have a gift certificate." Anyway, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Keep supporting Long Island. It's the right thing to do, and we're all happy that you do it. Believe me, I'm sure Kip can, the same sentiment. Support the winery, support the locals out here, the farms and the restaurants. And thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Do you want to, we had plenty of opportunity to ask you questions, but you just asked a question, Diane. So did anyone else have any questions that they still wanted to ask Tom, we're good. You asked if the dough had to rest. I was wondering about the flour. There was a lot of flour, but yet it didn't seem to.
Yeah, it's, the cheese absorbs it.
Okay. Yeah.
You ever think about having a cooking class at the restaurant where you come in and cook and eat?
Yes, I've thought about it. You know what the problem is? It's hard to find a time where there's nothing going on, you know, like, and, you know, I get like a half a day off a week, you know, and spend that generally. And it's also, you know, it's cramped. It's hard to get people, you know, hands on, unless you have a big, like, in Jewel, I used to do them downstairs, because I had a secondary kitchen downstairs, so you could get 20 people. You know, if I put 20 people in a model, the fire department would shut it down. But I find that most people, you know, there are some people who really want to learn, and other people just want to watch it, you know, and both are fine, you know. But we tend to make reservations more than dinner, I think, around. So.
Well, that's exactly
What we were I was talking with John Ross at one of our prior lectures that the home cook, the idea of a home cook is really becoming, you know, in the past, because there are few of us that are cooking, or we used to cook, but now we enjoy going out. We enjoy letting other people cook for us.
I
And,
enjoy doing it.
yeah, thank you for that. We appreciate it. If there's nothing else, everyone have a great evening. We got a little appetizer, you know, thank you, Tom, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
I graduated.
Yes, definitely.
He was the football coach.
It really is.
Take care of yourself, have fun.
I know. Oh, the spider thing, yes.
No banter today.
No.
I guess John Ross.
I'm not who you're talking about. My name is Ralph. I'm sure we've met, yeah, when we've been here. There was a third person, I couldn't remember. Yeah, Tom Ross, Dan Ross. I was expecting to see him here. They had a good background. They had a good background.
Yes.
I've heard of it, I haven't seen it.
Okay, so my son was watching. It's a little rough in the beginning. I had a hard time.
My son had ordered some stuff from Amazon.
See you Wednesday, dear.
Okay, and thank you very much. And it said, yes, chef. And I said, oh, and then we watched it there. And it's all about a kitchen. And I know. It's like a whole respect thing. He wants people to kind of live up to his. And it was truly really good. And I'm
You must have broke into your
Brian's family.